This is the High School Football America podcast for July the 26th, 2026. I'm Jeff Fisher. The High School Football America podcast is brought to you by GameStrat, America's premier sideline instant replay system with outstanding reliability and faster speed than Huddle Sideline. You need to find out why over 1,000 programs at the high school and the collegiate level have made the switch. And I can tell you, you don't even have to go and check it right now, but you do need to call them for a demo. The first reason people have made the switch is the reliability factor. GameStrat's reliability is second to none when it comes to in-game replay. And if there ever is a problem, and there hardly ever is, I've had so many coaches tell me, Jeff, thank you for turning me on to GameStrat. We really have never had a problem. We had one night. I had a call. It was fixed, whether it was in a practice session or whether it was in the game. It didn't matter. They fixed it right away. Most times, it's human error that causes some of the reliability problems. It's just not hooked up properly, right? It's been battle tested in the big college stadiums now that they're on the collegiate level and, of course, on the smallest of Friday night light fields. And the reason that it works everywhere is no stadium Wi-Fi is needed, right? How many times have you gone to a stadium, it's down in a ditch kind of, sits down in or a mountains block? No Wi-Fi issues at all because GameStrat uses a private network that works everywhere. No buffering, no download times, every angle on every iPad the moment the play ends, and you can flip between the press box camera and the end zone camera without missing a frame. Setup is very easy, only 10 minutes. You get to the field, what do you want to do? You want to get the team ready. You want to coach. You're not going to have to spend a lot of time putting this together. And different plans priced right for every coach's budget. Mention High School Football America when you get to the good friends at GameStrat, and they'll give you a friends and family discount from High School Football America. I like telling this story, too, since they've gotten into the collegiate game when the rules changed, that in 24 and 25, every team that played for an FCS national championship, if you're old school like me, that's Division I AA, had GameStrat on their sideline, both finalists, both years. And I think they're up around 100 FCS programs from across the country now that are using the GameStrat system. You're not going to go wrong. Find out. 1,000 programs have already made the switch. To get a demo, go to GameStrat.com, or you can click on the GameStrat banner ad located on every page of HighSchoolFootballAmerica.com. Hey everyone, it's Jeff Fisher of High School Football America in the NFL Play Football studio. And it's that time of year. I get to bring in a very good friend of mine, Joe Maimone, Prep Gridiron Logistics. Joe and I go, I don't know if we go way back, but we go pretty far back in an industry that keeps expanding and losing people and finding people and all that. And Joe's on the line right now to talk a little bit about a great schedule this year that PGL has put together with FloFootball. Joe's going to have to tell me the year. I know it's around 5, 6, or 7. I don't know. It's somewhere in that area. But Joe, thanks for taking the time today.
It's always my pleasure, Jeff. I think this is our 6th annual call that we're doing.
Okay. Well, that's you're climbing up the stack. Jason Negro at St. John Bosco just passed Bruce Rollinson for the all-time lead in High School Football America podcast appearances. So you're somewhere probably in the middle stack right now.
That's great. I'm honored to be there. And in almost every poll, including Bruce and Jason, they're normally 1 and 2 or 2 and 1.
Yeah. No, and two good friends as well. I know you're friends with them as well. They're just great guys and do a lot for the sport. But I'm just really pleased as punch for people listening to this on any of our the iHeart or Apple Podcast or wherever. Make sure you go to highschoolfootballamerica.com. We've got the full list of games up there. We're going to go through them one by one. It's a 21 game schedule kicking off on August 21st, as I said, on FloFootball. But before we dive into it, Joe, I always like to have you talk a little bit about what you do, why you do this, and all that other good stuff about your company, Prep Gridiron Logistics. This is not your primary job. It is a passion, and you have given back a lot to the game of high school football in the short time of your company. So let's start there. Tell the people that haven't heard you before a little bit about PGL and how you got involved and why you do this.
Yeah, we started back in 2015. So this is our 11th year being the nation's #1 high school promoter of games. Started with one client back in the day, Don Bosco Prep. We're headquartered in New Jersey. My son was attending there at the time, and like many coaches and ADs around the country, when you're really good, you can't. It's hard getting games, very tough. So I had some contacts in the industry, and first game I ever put together, well, first event I ever put together was Don Bosco uh, against Cincinnati Moeller. That was the first event ever. The second event was an event at Don Bosco, a double header. If you remember when Jason Negro came in and played St. Peter's,
Oh yeah.
and then Archbishop Rummel played Don Bosco. It was the 100th anniversary of Don Bosco and the 85th anniversary of St. John Bosco. So we did that one night in Ramsey, and from that point on, I went from having a few clients to today we have over 400 clients who call us whenever they want to schedule an elite out-of-state high school football opponent. And then about 6 years ago, we connected with Flow Sports, particularly the FloFootball channel. And of all the games we put together annually, we saved the best 20 to 30 for Flow, and they broadcast them to the high school football masses between August and October.
It is a wonderful schedule that you've put together over the last 5 and now going on 6 years. I mean, it's the creme de la creme. Just to give people a focus, right now of the 21 games, 20 of them feature at least one team in the preseason High School Football America 300. The only one, and it's a good one. I'm actually looking forward to this because of a great quarterback at Millard South, but Millard South from Nebraska and Cardinal Ritter, and we're going to get into the games in a little bit, but I know you're not going to do this because you don't talk about why you do it. I force you to do this, but yes, there is a fee to watch it on Flow. There is a subscription for that and all those good things, which I have, by the way. But you do something that you don't talk about until I say, Joe, talk about it, because you're literally funneling money back into high school football. And I would love for you to talk about that a little bit before we get into the schedule.
Yeah, so Flow and Prep Gridiron Logistics together over the last 6 years, we paid out over $870,000 in streaming rights fees to my clients.
That is so beautiful.
And yours truly, I don't, this basically my money, our money goes to helping the opposing team get to the host team.
Right.
There's a lot of travel involved. It's very expensive for a team like Gainesville to go to East St. Louis, or a team from California to visit St. Francis. It's a lot of money. So our funding is used to help those visiting teams get to the host team. Again, 6 years, over $870,000, and we still have 2 years left on our contract with Flow. So the goal is, I'd love to be having this call with you 2 years from now, saying we eclipsed the $1 million mark.
I have no doubt that you're going to do that. And thank you for what you do. Thank Flow Football for what it does and what it's kind of taking the bulls by the horn on. Because, and this is a good question before we go into the schedule. And I think I ask you this every year, but I think the games are better this year, but the number seems to be less. Is that an
Yeah.
accurate statement or not?
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, I remember year two of this agreement with Flow. I must have done 40 games.
Hmm.
And that was great for the fanatical fan. But we after the fact, about a year or two later, we decided, what, let's make it more about quality versus quantity. Back in the day, I was doing in-state games. Like I'd have, like in New Jersey, the Bergen Bosco game is the number one game in the state every year.
Yep.
I was doing like Lowndes and Valdosta, those type of rivalry games. Uh, because they were interstate games, the ratings weren't that great because people were all driving and going to the games in person. So the concept was cool. We kind of thought that football fans all over America might want to watch those rivalry games, but it didn't work out that well. So we said, you know what, we're gonna going forward. We're only going to do interstate games, one state versus another state. And we've been doing that the last 4 years. The number of games have gone down, but the quality sure as heck gone up tenfold.
Yeah, I agree. And I think my comment was also kind of an overall arching thing, which is where I want to go next, which is because you do what you do and helping bring these programs together to play these great interstate rivalries, is the number going down? Is it holding steady? I don't think it's going up, but you would know better than me.
Yeah, it's been consistent. The last 4 years, we've been between 20 and 25 games.
Okay. But I mean, what like overall, the games that don't air on
Oh,
Sunday. I'm talking in
oh,
general.
oh, man. Oh, no. That's going. It's going up. I mean,
Is it?
more and more people are calling me. That's for sure.
Okay.
Then more and more people calling me now in 2026 than they were in 2020. I get literally emails from ADs and head coaches every year. I got one from a coach in Texas yesterday, already looking to schedule somebody in 2027.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, but again, remember, we don't really deal with just anybody. There are over, if my memory's correct, there's at what 16 high school football teams in America.
Hmm.
We don't deal with everybody. We only deal with those elites or those programs that want to test themselves versus the elites.
Yeah.
Somebody like a King Drew out of California who's not very highly ranked, but they want to see what it's like to play a top five team in America, and they're going to St. Francis this year. So it's mostly dealing with the teams in your top 300. But once in a while, if somebody, I'm not going to turn anybody away for wanting to play. Like, remember the Eastwood from Texas?
Hmm.
They said we want to play St. John Bosco, 2 years in a row. Jason was dealing with them, and those are the teams we look for. We have a hashtag that we use once in a while, no cowards allowed. We only want to deal with teams who want to make their teams better by playing the best.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I had to chuckle. I love that hashtag. Joe Mamo from Prep Gridiron Logistics on the line with us talking about his bid schedule. We're going to dive into it here with FloFootball coming up this year, kicking off August 21st. Joe, we're less than a month away from kickoff. It's pretty darn wild. As I said before at the top, every game except for one. And Millard South actually from Nebraska falls into that category, Joe, that you were just talking about there. Nebraska high school football, don't want to, bash it too much, but it's good, but it's kind of middle of the road, if you will. Your typical Friday night lights and all that. But they have made an attempt to go out of state once or twice, and that you never know where they're going. In our algorithm, as you know personally, and I tell everybody whenever I want to talk to them and tell them what a little bit of the secret sauce is you better start playing in at least one interstate game if you want to have a shot at being looked at. And Buford from Georgia, your national champ last year, a lot of people's national champs, including Max Preps, and you and I are going to do an interview with Zach Poff coming up, I think, next week about our preseason rankings. But they've done that, and Buford didn't do it last year. So I keep joking around. I did an interview on Atlanta radio last week with Sam Crenshaw, and Sam said, okay, I want to get on you about Buford. Right. Well, I said, I know you're going to do that. I said, well, Brian Appling didn't play anybody
Yeah.
last year out of state. And I know Coach Appling from his days at Lehigh. I covered him back there in the 90s. And I said he must have listened to me because he's got two dandies on the
Yep, yep.
schedule.
And
So,
again, I mean, Buford last season, for whatever reason, I'm sure they tried, but when you're as good as them, a lot of teams don't want to play you, especially at
right.
home. But in years past, we know the program, how good they are.
Oh, yeah.
I think they may be the only one of the only public schools ever to beat St. Francis, and they've also beaten Chaminade. Did they beat Madonna? They've scheduled teams like Chaminade
Yeah.
Madonna in the past, so we know they could hang with anybody. So last year they were number one. Remember, our poll requires our mythical national champ to be undefeated, and they were the best undefeated team at the end of the season. That's why, for the first time in our history, no, not the first time, but for for the for first time in a long time in general, a public school won an Addy.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah, no, and like I said, and yeah, everybody in Georgia here where I live has calmed down a little bit, but at the end of the day, that really is what hurt him. So let's dive right into this. You just start with a bang with that first weekend. Well, you have 1 week and then you go into the real
Yep.
bang. But I was going to say, let's just say with the bang you start with on August
Yep.
21st. It is Clay Chalkville out of Alabama. They have a problem with my algorithm a little bit. They're number 45 preseason. And Creekside, man, I love this program. I know you do too. They will do the no cowards thing, right? They're
Oh
number
my God. Yeah.
24. That's how
I
you
mean,
start. Talk about that
they,
one.
that Creekside is the epitome of a PGL client. They called me up a few years ago and said, Joe, get us the best team possible. And we got them Mater Day, and I think went out there and lost like 70-0. But that changed the program for the better. I haven't I haven't gone back to the record books, but I want to see what their record is since the Mater Day game. It's got to be a great number. It's got to be a huge number with no, maybe two, three, four losses and over close to 40 wins. But yeah, we love working with them. They're going to be hosting Clay Chalkville, who's obviously a prominent team from Alabama. And I've gotten to know Alabama football very well over the last 4 years, much better than I did before because my son is a student at Auburn. So I'm down there a lot and I'm going to games in the state a lot. And so yeah, I've gotten to know those programs well, and it's a great way to kick off our 2026 broadcast schedule. It's August 21st, Friday night, Clay Chalkville at Creekside.
And let's just stick on Creekside for just a second because I still consider what they did to DeSoto last
Yeah.
year the football smack. If there's a proverbial smack heard round the world, where does that rank in your oh my gosh moments of high school
Yeah.
football?
Well,
At
you know
least in
what?
recent memory.
Yeah, I know them so well. So, I know why they lost so badly the year before. The night before the game, he suspended six defensive starters who yeah, they would just, kids will be kids when they're
Yep,
on the road for the first time in their lives playing a high school football game. So that's what happened there. We knew they were a much better team than that score a few years ago.
yep.
Um, so yeah, what did it surprise me that they beat DeSoto? No, but the score sure did. And to the best of my knowledge, DeSoto's only touchdowns were on defense or special teams in
Yeah, I
that
don't recall
game.
that, but that's possible.
Yeah, yeah.
It was a beatdown. And
70-28, and the only four scores DeSoto had were either on defense or special teams.
it's amazing. I mean, that DeSoto we know is in Coach Mathis, great program,
Yep.
and all the championships they won. They went on to win a Texas State
Yeah, they're and
championship,
they're
and
and
they
they're a
woke them
great
up.
they're a great client of ours. Them in Duncanville, we work with them a lot, and all the best out of state games Texas has hosted over the last 4 or 5 years have been through our company.
Yeah, and the second week of your schedule, the 28th of August, and I don't know if you want to take all five. You can do whatever you want here,
Let's
but
just do one at a time.
yeah, I mean it is a dandy, and you and I have talked about this, and let's go there before we go into the games. One thing that I do know is not changing is the fact that the first 2 weeks of the season, generally speaking, the last week in August and the first week in September, is really having an impact not only on our national championship, on your national championship, on Max's, on everybody's. So, I mean, how many calls do you get for those first couple of weekends? We're like, Joe, we want the best because we want to see how far we can get in so and so's ranking.
Yeah, those are the easiest 2 weeks to book, quite honestly, because so many teams around America are looking for elite competition before conference play starts. It gets harder. I mean, we'll go down the schedule, but in the month of October, I only have four games.
Yeah.
In August and September, I have five or six in one weekend. So, but yeah, it's always easier. And again, we've been doing this for long enough now, where the best, the cream of the crop, the best of the best, those that want to win national championships know, like you said prior, if you're going to win a natty, you're going to have at least one substantial out-of-state victory on your resume.
Yeah. You got to do it. So let's start with the first game, and I'm just going down with what you gave me. So it's no particular order, folks. I'm not
Mhm.
making one team better than the other, but being a Pennsylvania guy, as everybody knows, I love what the Philadelphia Catholic League Red Division has done. The elevation. I mean, it started with St. Joe's. LaSalle was always kind of right behind them, but I mean, Roman Catholics come up. So let's start with that LaSalle. And it's not LaSalle College, it's LaSalle College High School, folks. Not a prep school, it's a high school.
All right,
Uh,
just like St. John's College High School.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So don't get confused. There's a connectivity there, but it's nothing more than that. But LaSalle versus Paramus Catholic, you're the Jersey guy. I know you love your league up there. It's a great league with the Boscos and the Bergens, but Paramus Catholic, I think, is a team that's coming up, right? A little bit. They had a pretty good year last year. So talk a little bit about that matchup.
Yeah, so we that matchup was attractive to us for number one because LaSalle obviously has knocked for the time being St. Joe's Prep off its perch in PA. Paramus Catholic, my alma mater, by the way. If I don't know if I ever told you that, but
I don't know if I knew that.
yeah, I'm a PC graduate.
Okay.
Um, Great days during Jabril Peppers, Rashawn Gary. Uh, had a tough time a little bit afterwards, but they're on the rise. That game's going to be at a neutral site game. It's in Ocean City, New Jersey.
Battle
So
at the
it's kind of
Beach.
like exactly Battle Beach. So it's neutral site. PC will travel well down south, down the Parkway. LaSalle will travel well. Those fans going north, and that's a great venue right on the beach there with the Ferris wheel. If you remember, Bergen Catholic played IMG there recently. Millwood played IMG there last year. Uh, um, Not Millwood. What's this other South Jersey team?
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, Winslow Catholic. Winslow
Winslow,
Township.
Winslow,
Winslow
Winslow. Yeah,
Township. Yeah.
yeah. Winslow played Bosco there last year. So East St. Louis played Bergen there recently. So it's becoming a great event.
It
And
is.
we always, it's a bunch of games. We always broadcast the best of the best games that weekend at that event. So LaSalle at PC starts us on the 28th. Following that, we have a great matchup. Again, my first client ever, Don Bosco Prep is going to be hosting Armwood, Florida.
And they're good. They've been
Yeah.
good for years. They're 83 in our national rankings preseason.
Yeah, and again, obviously the teams have never played. Bosco likes to play Florida teams. As you know, they're one of the few out-of-state teams in America that have two victories against St. Thomas Aquinas.
That's right.
They played Edgewater recently, lost to them down in Orlando. Edgewater at the time had like the number one running back in America, who I think is playing at Texas now, if I remember correctly. Um, but that should be a great matchup. Florida publics don't travel a lot, especially out of state. If they do, they'll go to bordering states. But the fact that we were able to get Armwood all the way up to Ramsey, New Jersey is gonna be a great game.
Yeah, I
And again,
remember.
that's
Can I just
that's
say
where
one
our
thing?
funding kicks in.
Well, yeah, but here's the question too that I isn't you're talking about Bosco's track record with Florida, but didn't they truly more or less maybe one, two, or three that game against De La Salle? Isn't that one of the first true like really big interstate
It
matches?
was. It was one of the biggest ones. That again, most find me another team in America that's 4-0 lifetime against De La Salle and St. Thomas Aquinas.
I don't think that animal exists.
Yeah, that's Don Bosco Prep Ironman. So yeah, so they love to travel. When Coach Toll was there, he would take them anywhere, anytime. So they've Coach Sabella has continued that tradition.
Yeah, and so next up on your list, you got St. Francis Academy. They just, I think that you finally finished the schedule for them because I just saw it was released the other day. We put that out.
Yeah.
They're number six in our preseason. DeLand out of Florida, 137 in our national rankings. That's
Yeah,
gonna
and
be
and,
interesting.
and the coach at Deland contacted us again, wanted to test themselves. They've had a great couple of seasons there. Um, that's Deland's a tough offense to play against. That's like playing Army or Navy.
Yep.
Hard to prepare for.
Hmm.
And Coach Masai, as you know, loves testing his boys. So St. Francis is going down to Deland, which is from what I understand in the Daytona area. It's going to be a great matchup. St. Francis loves to go to Florida. They've been going there for a long, long time. And again, I don't have their overall record in the state of Florida, but with the exception of I think they've lost to Madonna and Aquinas, and probably all the other games they played have been victories there. So that should be a great matchup too.
No shame in that.
Yep, and then the
Completely perfect.
following, then the same night. Again, remember all of these games, Jeff, are going to be on at the same exact time.
Right.
5 games all start between 7 and 8 p.m. on August 28th on the Flow channel. So if you're remember you're going to pay you're subscribed 19.99 a month, all right, or per month. So if you just join on August 22nd and you do a 1 month membership to September 22nd, that's 16 games divided by $19.
Even I, the bad math guy, can figure out that's a little over $1.
So so
I didn't go
it's
the full route. I just know it's over $1.
yeah, so it's a good deal. And the third game that evening is going to be against a team. It's going to be a
Carroll
visiting
City and Lee
team
County.
that many, many, many people are talking about right now. Carroll City. Each and every year there's one team down in Dade that just dominates the transfer portal, and Carroll City has done it this offseason, and they'll be going to South Georgia to play Lee County.
And that is a tough place to play. I know when you, me, and Zach get together later on next week and we talk about the national rankings, Carroll City is prominent in both of yours. It's not in our top 300, not even in our top 400. But again, I like to set the tone here because that whole conversation will be around algorithm versus opinion, and my algorithm really can't sort out the transfers that go like, I don't know, it's like the New York Stock Exchange floor. The way
Right. Now, again,
South
you don't
Florida.
you don't know when somebody brings in so many transfers, there's a lot to it. Are they going to gel? Are they not going to gel? Well, we're going to know very
Quickly.
quickly how
Yep.
good Carroll City is. If they lose at Lee County, you're right. If they beat Lee County, they're going to be in your top 300. So
Right. Yep. No doubt about that. No
yeah,
doubt
no,
about
no,
that.
no, no big deal. And it's always, man, I've spent a lot of time in South Georgia. Those games are tough for an away team.
Yeah. Well, you gotta learn how to chew gnats and you gotta learn how to sweat a lot. All
Yeah,
kinds of
it's
stuff.
really that. I mean, Lee County's a tough place to play. Lowndes, Colquitt, Valdosta. I remember when Don Bosco early on went to Prattville and barely beat Prattville in that type of environment.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a great test for Carroll City. So we'll see soon enough.
Well, I'm gonna say one other thing here. It always gets me in trouble, but I'll just say it. Teams coming down to Georgia from another state or coming up to Georgia from another state or coming over to Georgia from another state, uh, you got to deal with the zebras too. But I'll just leave that for
Oh,
what I've said publicly multiple
I
times.
was gonna bring that up, but you beat me to it. Good job.
Well, I've got one, and here's how I make it stand. Good Counsel versus Marietta. Don't remember the year. All I remember, there were 27 flags against Good Counsel and two against Marietta. Take those
I
off the
got
board.
a I got a better one for you, Jeff. I got a better one for you. Go back on YouTube and watch the St. Francis at Lee County game many years ago.
Okay.
I think it was worse, but we'll see what happens.
And then that first, I mean, all these games intrigue me to watch. And again, folks, I'm talking with Joe Maimone today, Prep Gridiron Logistics, his schedule on Flow Sports, Flow Football. Being the Pennsylvania guy, you being the Jersey guy, and all that, this Bergen Catholic Pittsburgh Central Catholic matchup intrigues the heck out of me. How about you?
Two great programs that have been around forever with, great alums, football alums. Bergen Catholic has players have been in the NFL, a lot of front office guys still in the NFL. Central Catholic with the Dan Marinos of the world that have played there, and Pittsburgh back in the day in the 70s, 80s was a mecca for high school football.
Yeah.
So it's a great clash of power privates, power parochials, if you will. So that game's going to be at a really cool football stadium called the Wolverina.
Yeah. I
And I
love it.
think I think Turtle City, Pennsylvania, outside of Pittsburgh. So that's going to be a great neutral site game. And it's two real great brand names. Like we talked about before, the first event I ever put together was Don Bosco at Moeller. That was two great brands meeting for
Yeah.
the first time. And this is two great private brands meeting for the first time, Bergen Catholic and Pittsburgh Central Catholic.
Yeah, and when I think of you saying just it's the first time to me, and I'm not talking about when we were growing up as kids, the interstates didn't really exist, obviously, but to think that it's taken them this long to get this matchup together is kind of amazing. So let's move on into September, the day before my birthday, in case anybody wants to send me birthday wishes or curse me for turning another year older and not any smarter. But that's September 4th. Again, you got what do you have? One, two, three, four, five, six. I think it looks like six games maybe on the 4th that you have
Yeah.
there. And we were talking about Bosco earlier and how it's fit into prep gridiron logistics. We talked a little bit about Roman Catholic and what they're coming up with. They're going to play St. John Bosco to open the season, our preseason number one. But that September 4th matchup, another good Pensy Jersey matchup.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Ricky Preet down at Roman Catholic, again, called me out of the blue. We really wasn't a major client up until 6 months ago. Called me up, said, get me the best games possible. We got him at St. John Bosco. And then he's hosting Don Bosco. And then he is hosting or he's going to DeMatha. That's a crazy schedule. But Roman Catholics on the rise. You saw their record last year. I think they were either number two or three. They finished in PA.
They're the 5A champ there. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So it's and Philly high school football is really good. As you already talked about. You talked about St. Joe's Prep, LaSalle, and also now Roman Catholic. We used to have back in the day. Archbishop Wood was good. So it's gonna be a great a battle of the New Jersey Turnpike, if you will, from exit 18 down to exit 4.
I'm glad you knew that because I couldn't have come up with that. Roman Catholic number 31 in our national rankings. And just to put in perspective what Joe said about that schedule there, Bosco preseason number one out of Cali, and then as he said, they've got this game coming up against Don Bosco. Don Bosco number 20 in our preseason, and DeMatha's number 12 in our preseason. Changed their coach. Bill McGregor is now kind of the football ops guy there, so that'll be interesting to see how that affects them. But man, I don't know. Somebody's biting off a lot. Let's see how much they can chew of it.
Yeah, but you know what? That those three games will prepare him for his conference
Oh, no doubt.
league slate of games, and barring injury, they're going to do just fine, and they'll probably be in the finals of the state finals again. So
I would argue, given how good the Philadelphia Catholic League Red is, and that non-league out-of-state schedule they're playing is as good as the Trinity League teams, the Boscos, the Mater Deis. I'll put those.
and the WCAC.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean,
Yeah.
it is a banger of a schedule. I love the next one. I know I've gotten to know Derek White at Raven Gap Nakuchi. Maybe it's because he's up the road. Maybe because he's always lobbying me for a higher spot in the rankings. But what about this private school matchup you have on that Friday night? Baylor, year in and year out from Chattanooga, Tennessee, just great. They got I think, the best running back in the country. Raven Gap Nakuchi is tucked away in a little town up in the hills of Georgia. Tell me about how you got this little private school matchup.
Well, I don't know if you remember, but this game happened because of you. You introduced me to the Raven Gap head coach.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll take credit for it.
So, yeah, you introduced me to him several years ago, and he didn't jump into the fire quickly. He took a year or two to get to learn about how out-of-state games work, and you know, I the coach knows. I mean, I used to get frustrated with him because
Oh, yeah.
I'd present a lot of great opportunities to him, and then he for whatever reason didn't want to do it. But this year, he said yes to everything. So yeah, he'll be hosting Baylor, Tennessee on that September 4th, that evening. And again, Jeff, that evening between 7 and 8 p.m., all six games will be going on at the same time on the Flow Football channel.
That's great. And
But
and folks, if you obviously it's going to be hard flipping back and forth. If you have the subscription, you can then go back and watch the game too. So just stay off Twitter or X or whatever the heck it's called and don't and then you'll be surprised, right? Because everything's on demand then at that point, correct?
correct.
Okay.
Yep. But again, I've met Coach. I just became familiar with Raven Gap and their program maybe 2 years ago. but they are one of our, emerging clients.
I'm going to give you a
Uh,
little factoid, Joe, that I just talked to Coach White this week, and yes, folks, I have had to have a little bit of therapy session individually with Joe and Coach White, but they had some issues at the beginning. It wasn't I wasn't the perfect matchmaker, but what Derek told me this week blew me away, which is, and they have gone from starting a program 16 years ago. The school's been around for over 125 years, but the program just started 16 years ago. And over the last 5 years, this is his fifth year since they've been there, they've had 68 kids go on to college scholarships, not all Power Four, but high level college Division I college scholarships. Out of those 68, only 54 of them, I hope I said that the right way, 68 got scholarships. 54 of them came to Raven Gap Nacoochee without a star. They were unranked. That's impressive.
that's player development right there. That's the definition of it.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, and they've got kids from all over the world, but it's a different situation. People pay there. There's no scholarships. There isn't grant need, but it's an interesting program. There's no doubt about that. But anyway, I
Yeah.
went off on a
And,
tangent.
and the good news is the two really, really outstanding out-of-state teams he plays this year will be at home, which will be a benefit.
Yeah, they're
So again, that's a situation where that game may not happen without our funding behind it.
yeah,
So,
that's great.
that's how the money works. Again, that's only game number 2 of 6 for that night. So next game is St. Francis going back down to Florida to Vero Beach, Florida.
Indians are good. They're another team.
Yep.
They're just outside the top 100 for us. They're year in and year out.
Yeah, and St. Francis obviously is, depending on the poll, ranked between 1 and 3 preseason. So Masai was saying he thinks he may have his best team ever when all is said and done.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm hearing this. If we ever get to a true championship, this is going to be interesting because I've heard that our national champ last year, number 4, St. Thomas Aquinas, not on your schedule. This is just a sidebar. I've heard that St. Thomas's team this year is as good as any team it's ever had, and they've had some
Yep.
damn good ones. So if Messiah's at the same spot with St. Francis and we get something down the road where TV's able to bring something together, that could be interesting. But
Yeah,
I
I mean
like that
everybody's
myself.
everybody's excited about the overtime getting involved in high school football, and that could happen in December.
Yeah. So Buford and Mallard Creek. Again, we talked about Buford earlier. Coach App listened to me, maybe from afar. And Mallard Creek is no slouch because North Carolina football, that's one of the, when people say, Jeff, what are the states you think are up and coming or they've always been good, but they're now kind of moving to that elite level? And their name comes out, North Carolina's name comes out of my mouth as quick as Tennessee's, I think.
Yeah, and
Alabama, I think, is already there.
if you look at all the articles, states where NFL players are drafted from, they're always like in the top 10, North
Yeah.
Carolina. So,
Yep. No doubt about that. But I
yeah,
love the
so
Buford Mallard Creek one.
yeah, so Buford Mallard Creek, we've dealt with Mallard Creek the last few years they've been on. This is the second leg of a home and home for the series, so we had it last year too. And then game number 5 that night, Bergen Catholic again, um, at Good Counsel.
Yeah. Change at the top. Andy's out. Andy Stefanelli is no longer there. But that's one of those WCAC teams that's year in and year out great.
Yep.
No
So
doubt about that. And game 6, going to be interesting to see what happens with Gainesville. Josh Niblett, as you know, when he came from Hoover, changed that program around. And we all love Coach Sunkett at East St. Louis. I love that game, the Georgia-Illinois game.
yeah, that was one again. If you look at the games we've just reviewed, at least one of the times there's a private school, but that's a public on public, which is
Good point.
great because it's hard. The funding's tough to go from Georgia to the suburbs of St. Louis. That's not going to be an easy flight for them.
Yeah.
So kudos to Gainesville. Gainesville again, Coach Bryant did a great job there. After Josh, and now Darren has played everybody you could possibly play. East St. Louis has played St. Francis, IMG, St. John Bosco. they're not afraid of anybody. They're again a prototypical prep gridiron logistics client. They want to play the best every dang year.
I think he would prefer to play an all interstate schedule and then go into the Illinois playoffs if he had a choice. That's how he's a Jersey guy, right?
He is. He
He'll
is.
play all take on all comers.
He's from the Camden area.
Yeah, and we know that you got to be tough to come out of
Yep.
Camden
Yep.
area.
Yep.
Now you talked about that public on public with Gainesville and East St. Louis, and that's a good segue into the September 11th schedule, which is 1, 2, 3 games, and we're going to start with the one that I'm looking forward to, and I'll just let you go. I'm not even going to say who it is. You can talk about that one because it is a dandy between Florida and Georgia.
Again, two of the best public schools in the Southeast, Miami Central at Buford. And I'm looking forward. I got my master's at Florida State. I'm a Seminole when it comes to college football season. Um, and Coach Gibson there is a FSU alum now leading the Rockets. Buford, we talked about this is going to be a great game, and again, Buford is basically like we talked about making up for last year, and they didn't get a chance to play an out-of-state team, but they got a gauntlet this year, and if they win all these games and win Georgia, you
Yeah.
know where they're going to be. They're going to be way at the top of our polls.
Yeah, Raven Gap, we mentioned them earlier, great private school, and this is really for all the marbles in the league that they play in, meaning Providence Day, which made our top 25 last year, by the way. Great program. They produce a lot of talent out of there, but that's for the North Carolina Independent State Schools or Schools Association. So, what when you put the private schools together like this, is there always like a, yeah, let's test ourselves or some, this is a league matchup, so it's not
Mhm.
probably the same, but I was just curious when you try to put some of these big powerhouses together, you ever have a time where somebody's like, I'm not going to play that. We don't want to take that L or anything. Is that happening these days, or don't you want to say that?
It happens more than you think.
I know it
A
does.
lot of these coaches are confident and brave on Twitter, but when you talk to them about the scenes, they don't want no, they don't want to. The two toughest teams for me to find games for are obviously IMG and St. Francis.
Yeah,
No, no, very few. I'm not going to say nobody. Very few want to test themselves versus those teams, and a lot of teams don't want to play somebody early on, potentially if they could play them later in the playoffs.
right.
So that comes into it too.
Yeah.
So,
It's
um,
interesting. It's interesting. In the last
yeah.
game
So
on
there's
the 11th, go ahead.
this. What I do isn't easy. You know this. It's not
The
easy.
big old spreadsheet you have.
Yeah,
And
things don't things. You
and
can,
it ain't signed until it ain't signed.
yeah, and
And even
even
when
when it
it's
is
signed.
signed, games get canceled. I found out very quickly when I started doing this as a hobby that contracts in high school football are basically meaningless. So,
Yeah, and all it takes
uh,
is one booster club to change, and they can't raise the money, and somebody's not flying someplace or whatever it may be. So
yeah, yeah.
that's
So,
why,
and again, and I've never had Providence Day on our schedule before. So, looking to see what they're all about. I have friends whose kids went there, and I know it's a great school academically and athletically. So, we're going to be happy to promote the brand on Flow.
the last game on the 11th is one you already touched upon, Roman Catholic DeMatha. That's just got all kinds of neat, Philly,
Yeah.
Baltimore, all that
And
stuff.
and we talk about the Trinity all the time being the best league in high school football, and it is. But the WCAC is always a close second.
Yep.
The Matha, whether it's the Matha, remember it's cyclical. It's like the Jersey privates. A couple of years Bergen's great, then Bosco, then Joe's, and then it goes back to Bergen, then Bosco and Joe's. Um, same here with DeMatha. For the longest time, early on when we started our company, St. John's was like the team in the
Yep.
WCAC. Gonzaga took over with Caleb, and then a good council's always been consistently good, and now it's DeMatha the last few years has been a top 10 team at the end of the season. So
And I'm going to pull
that's
your
been
Ohio butt out of the fire too. You forgot the Greater Catholic South League, Mr. Ohio.
I remember remember undergrad. I went to Dayton, so I'm very familiar with those Cincinnati
I
teams.
just said I pulled your butt out of the fire. You didn't mention that.
Yep.
You mentioned all those other,
Yep.
but I don't
Well,
want people giving you
yeah.
any crap.
You know why? Because you know why they're not. You know why they're not top of mind, right? Tell me the
Yeah,
last time one of them played a high end out of state team.
I
So,
know, I know,
and
I
I know, and Moeller could say Mount Carmel, but I'm talking high end. So, um,
Anyway,
so
let's move to the 18th. We talked about this one a little bit. Millard South and Cardinal Ritter out of Missouri. Cardinal Ritter is a great team. Coach Spain there, I know him very well.
yep, yep,
It's
good
it's
guy.
I do these matchups intrigue me a lot because you never know, right? Because I get a lot of people are like, you don't give Missouri any respect. You might give it to CBC or to Smet or
Mhm.
whatever, but um, I don't know. I love seeing these games that you put together on TV because you really get to see how Missouri high school football is because you're looking at the top of the tier here.
Yep, exactly. And I want to see, you know, Millard South is always in. We've never had them ranked. But I've always been intrigued about them because they get ranked a lot high on several pollsters on the national level rank them high. But in my opinion, I can't because I've never seen them be tested before.
No, they beat Arborview out of Nevada last
I
year,
know,
and
but
they were up there. That was a forfeit, all that sort of stuff. I agree with you on it, and I'll say this, and I go on the record all the time. It goes back to my conversation with Jim Halley, the godfather, the OG of the USA Today rankings. The only reason teams like that get in there is you're trying to get some readers somewhere along the line.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. And you mentioned the Arborview game. I'd say they might have been ranked in my poll if they played Bishop Gorman.
There you go.
So um but no, but let's see. It'll be great for everyone to see how they perform on the road in St. Louis. Then next the following week is September 25th. We only have one game. Um, this is King Drew, a not well-known school, charter school out of the LA area, is flying to Baltimore to play St. Francis, who if they're undefeated, could be number one in the country at that time. The coaches are friendly. That's how this game came about. And this game's going to be held at the Under Armour campus at their football stadium there.
Hey, can I ask you a question about that?
Yep. Yep.
They used to be road warriors. That's not the case anymore. Does it make it harder or easier to schedule them because you got to come, not only you playing this program that's so good, but you're playing them in their neck of the woods?
It depends. They're a big Under Armour client. Under Armour supports St. Francis very, very well, Kevin Plank and company. So there's funding, a lot of funding there. So it's not as difficult as if um, St. Francis was going to California. That'd be a lot tougher funding wise.
Mhm.
But no, it's just King Drew. Like I said, there's a relationship between the head coach there and Coach Masai, and they want to play the best. And that again, no different than when Eastwood went to Bosco twice. Same
Yep.
concept. So anytime you can get a Cali team outside of this Trinity League to travel and play a really good elite team, I'm all for it, and I'm gonna televise it.
Yeah. 2nd of October, you got game on the second, game on the third. We talked about Carroll City. This is going to be an interesting test because I think Grayson maybe they've had a change at the top, but I think they could be under the radar. They're 14 or 15 in our national rankings, but we're going to find out how good if Carroll City has done what everybody thinks they're going to do. This is going to be one hell of a matchup.
Yeah, and I got a lot of grief when my polls came out a few weeks ago. I don't have Grayson in my top 25. I have him right outside in the first five out. And it's only because I have so much respect for Santavius Bryant that
Mhm.
I they're gonna have to earn it without him.
Yeah, I agree.
So they're gonna
Bryant's
have
one
to
of the
earn it.
greatest coaches in America, no doubt.
Yeah,
May
and
not be a
his
household name, but he is.
great. Everyone I speak to who knows him loves him. It's hard to find somebody in our industry that doesn't have one person have something bad to say about a person, but I've yet to find that person. And that's why I have Gainesville ranked and great, and I don't have Grayson ranked.
Yeah,
So,
fair enough.
so
Fair
we'll
enough.
see. It's all gonna come out in the wash by the end of the season, but that's going to be a great game. Grayson is playing at Grayson is always tough. Carroll City, we're going to know exactly where they stand by October 2nd.
Oh,
And
no
and
doubt.
uh, I'm hoping that's still a relevant game based on all the hoopla and hype. It should be.
Okay, the third, the following day. I got this so much last year. Who the heck is St. James Performance Academy out of Virginia? You got them
Yeah,
against IMG, so obviously they're not afraid of playing a decent schedule. They
no, they're
actually
great.
beat somebody to go. Go ahead, talk a
I
little bit about that
visited
program.
I visited with their senior management down there. It's a great complex in the suburbs of Washington, D.C. and Springfield, Virginia. I don't know the square footage, but there's football fields, there's hockey rinks, there's basketball courts, and they have a setup now where student athletes can go to school there, um, take classes, practice, compete, get a great degree, and go on to college. So they're in their second year program. Um, a lot of great money and funding behind it. They can go anywhere. They can host anyone. So this is going to be a huge test.
And they
Them
beat
flying
Good
down.
Counsel last year. That was the eye
Yeah,
opener for everyone.
yeah,
That was the
and
test. And then you
yeah,
got
and
them on
then
back-to-back weekends with a hell of a test. I mean, talk
yep.
about who has back-to-back games like this in America. I don't know.
Yeah, so October 3rd, they visit Bradenton, and then the following week they host St. Francis. And because that game is going to be so big in that DMV area, they're not even hosting it they have an indoor football field in their facility.
Okay.
They're hosting it at a neighboring public high school so they could fit thousands of people.
Well,
So that's going to be at Osborne High School
they're
in the
number
suburbs of
92 in our
DC.
preseason rankings. They
Yeah,
were top 100 last year. It kind of reminds me of the Raven Gap story, right? Yeah, and
yeah,
who? And then all of a
yeah,
sudden, like, oh. And,
exactly.
and
So
and then you wrap up
they
with a good one that I look forward to. I know the Hun School is he does have some PG players as post grad, but against IMG, that I look forward to that. I like Coach Smith there at the Hun School.
and yeah, and the quarterback is one of the tops in America. So we'll see how he performs versus one of the best defenses in America at IMG in Bradenton.
Who
So
didn't you
that's it.
get, Joe, as we wrap up here? Who's not on this list? You're like, damn, I wish I could have gotten that one.
Well, the game that was just announced, St. Francis is playing at Bryant in Little Rock
Hmm.
in an iconic historic stadium in Little Rock.
Yeah, that'll
That
be
came out.
exciting.
It just happened 2 weeks ago, so it was too late for us to add. Um, to it. Other than that, I mean, unfortunately, we can't stream any games in Southern California or in where else? Like
Nevada.
Bishop Gorman has a lot of great games. We can't work with Nevada because they don't. We can't get exclusivity, which is a prerequisite in dealing with us. So it would be great to see those games, but I'll be watching them somewhere else. But no, other than that, we pretty much got what we wanted, which was feasible.
Great
I'm trying to
schedule.
think.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and then we'll post the schedule later on for everyone to see. Again, it's 19.99 a month. So even if you want to do it for this entire schedule, it starts August 21st. It ends October 31st. So that would be 3 month subscription.
Yeah,
That's $60. 21 games for $60.
that's about $3 a game.
That's right,
I mean, I'll
299.
keep testing my
So
math
if you're a
muscle.
high school football fan who could afford 299 a month, you could watch all these games. So
Well, Joe, it's been a pleasure talking to you, catching up, and I know you're as excited as I am. One last time going away because even though we're talking 26, I know there's teams, as you said, talking 27 already. I just had a guy I got to pass along to you at DeWitt out of Michigan who's looking for an out-of-state game opponent. But how do people get in touch with you to get things flowing for 2027?
yeah, it's our website is prepgridironlogistics.com. There's a form you fill out if you're an AD or you're a coach. You contact us, you tell us what your open date is and what your parameters are if you want to host, if you could travel, how far you want to go. And literally what used to take days and weeks to do, we do in seconds and minutes.
Well, you're not going to be disappointed, coaches, if you're looking to step up your program, just looking to fill some holes in your schedule. Joe and his group. It's actually just Joe, right? I mean, you got a lot of people in
It
this
is.
network,
It
but
is. It's
it's
one.
real. I don't want to make it seem like you're like a multi-billion dollar waiting to be bought
Nope.
out by private equity, although that would be nice.
Yeah, no, but it's just yours truly who does this before 9 a.m., after 5, and on weekends. And we've been doing it for six years. And like I said early on, we've infused over $870,000 into the game of high school football over the last 6 seasons.
Congratulations, Joe. Appreciate your friendship. Appreciate all that you do for the game of football. And here's to a great 2026.
Right back at you, friend.
Hey, good luck to all the states that open tomorrow. Camps are opening. It's hot as blazes. Although, you know what? I'm not complaining. Georgia's been pretty good so far in July. But Georgia does open tomorrow, and we just wish everybody a safe and a very productive fall season as the 2026 high school football season is now officially here. Make sure you check out highschoolfootballamerica.com throughout the preseason. We'll have lots of great stuff for you. And of course, once the season rolls around, aside from the rankings, which everybody loves the rankings, well, we've got those live scoreboards. We partner with ScoreStream, and we've been doing it for years now, and it's the best way to get your scores on a Friday night or Saturday morning, depending where you are. Keep up with the opponents, see how your team's doing. If you can't get to the game, High School Football America has state-by-state scoreboards. We have everything for you, and as I always say, we are the home of the free content. That's why we are called High School Football America. Here we go, saying goodbye by reminding you that GameStrat is the presenting sponsor of the High School Football America podcast. We've been partnered with GameStrat since 2020. It is the country's premier sideline instant replay system with outstanding reliability and faster speed than Huddle Sideline. I've been talking now for 6 years about why you should make the switch. Everyone that's listened to me has come back and said, Jeff, I should have done it sooner. You were right. This stuff is incredible on how it's made us a better staff, gives us better changes in game and all that. You cannot beat the reliability. And that's why over 1,000 programs, high school and collegiate, have made the switch. And if you ever do have a problem, and they are very few and far between, GameStrat's customer service is A+++++. I keep adding pluses. That's how good I think it is. And one of the things that I think makes it the best around is the fact that they have a private network system, so no stadium Wi-Fi is ever needed. And we know those stadiums, right, where your Wi-Fi just does not work. So it's been battle tested in the big college stadiums and on the tiniest of Friday night light gridirons. Yes, flip between the press box and the end zone cameras without ever missing a frame. There's no buffering, no download times. Every angle on every iPad the moment the play ends. Setup is so easy. Only takes 10 minutes. That means you can go to your job of getting the team ready for the game when you're on the field that night. And different plans priced right for every coach's budget. Mention High School Football America to the fine folks at GameStrat, and you will get an HSFA friends and family discount. And this is the one that I like talking about because, and again, I always joke here at this point, the FCS National Championship, a.k.a. the Division I AA championship to an old guy like me. Over the last 2 years, the 4 teams that have played for the FCS National Championship both have had GameStrat on their sideline. I think that's something you should consider. To get that demo, go to GameStrat.com or click on the GameStrat banner ad located on every page of HighSchoolFootballAmerica.com.